flashlight trembling in my hand, dust in the air, cold on my neck, names on the walls that nobody wrote. Door swings wide, no one there to check. Old house breathing like it's alive. Floorboards creak, something replies. Ask one question into the dark. Get three whispers hidden my spine. Got my paranormal playbook, turn the page, hear the dead talk, every rule that they gave me falls apart when the clock stops. Paranormal playbook, say the names, watch the room shake. If I cross the line in the hallway, will I walk back out away?
Hello.
Hello. Just jam into the theme song as
know.
always.
Yeah, it's just always got to jam out to it. It's so much fun.
Absolutely. So it's our new night.
I know. I'm super excited because as you already knew, because I was trying to get those days for a little while, just because it makes things at here Crooked Path just so much easier for us with all of our events and Paracons that we're going to be doing this year and moving forward. It's going to be so much easier having Saturday, Sundays off. So the fact that I got those was awesome. So thankfully, Anthony was cool with us moving a Paranormal Playbook from Mondays to Sunday nights. So I'm really thankful for that and just really glad I got those days off. So
Yeah, me too. It's definitely going to make a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
Kim is here.
Kim is here.
New time, same baddies. I love that. Real quick, I do just want to throw it out there that this coming Saturday, we have an event at the Old Paulding Jail in Paulding, Ohio. We have an investigation that there's 3 different ticketing options. There's either the 7 p.m. to midnight, there's the after hours that goes till 2 a.m., or there's the overnight that goes until 10 a.m. So check out our Facebook page, the Old Paulding Jail Paranormal Investigation page, if you're interested in that.
Yep, that's going to be a really awesome time. I
Easter eggs. And never fear, the fancy water is here.
So why don't we go ahead and just kind of jump into who our sponsors are for the evening?
Yeah, absolutely. Here's a shout out to Movie Thief, the new and upcoming movie by Forever Entertainment. They are live on Kickstarter right now with some really great custom acting roles, producer credits, merchandise, and some other great stuff. If you haven't checked it out yet, make sure you do. So cool. Such good stuff. This is going to be epic.
There's a lot of them here. Wow.
I know. This is really good. This is going to be so epic.
I like the Thanos reference right there. I understood that reference.
Oh yeah, I knew that would get your attention.
Yeah, but you know as well as anybody does. Like, if there is something nerdy out there to be seen, I'm going to see it. I'll call it out. I might even make an analogy for it. So it's just what I do, I guess. So why don't we go ahead and just get into who our guest is tonight and all that jazz.
All right. Well, we do have a pretty exciting guest tonight. Our guest is a good friend of mine. We've done lots of investigations together, fallen into some really interesting inexplicable mysteries of the world together. She is a paranormal investigator. She is an artist. Please welcome Dawn Tonneman.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
Good. Still kind of recovering from Friday night at FCI, last night at Wells Tattoo. I'm ready for nap. Kim says hi.
Hey, Kim.
She also just asked in the comments if you and I were going to be in the next movie theme, which no, we are not. At least not as of right now. I think there's still some availability spots, so you never know when we might pop up. But I know that recently I haven't put anything in. I don't think you have either. I'm kind of waiting for certain entities to just like reach out to me, like, hey, be in my movie. I'm making them come to me.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. I'll do something for sure. Hey, Kurt, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, Kurt?
So, Dawn, you were out at FCI with me on Friday, and that's a place that Noah's been to many, many times. Anybody that knows me knows I'm very well connected to that building. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about your experiences in that building and what drew you there in the first place? I like that story.
Okay, so anytime I drive down to Lancaster, I usually go right past the building. And prior to the current owner getting the building, I would drive past it, and it was one of those things that I have to get in this building. I don't know how I'm going to get in there. I don't know if I'm going to climb in a window. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I have to get in this building. And then just shortly after that, Adam Kimmel got the building and opened it up to start doing guided flashlight tours. So as soon as I saw that option pop up, I was like, okay, there's my entrance. Normally, when I go into a location, sometimes I want to try to feel it out first. And in all honesty, FCI was kind of the first time that I tried doing that with a location. So when I went in that night, I didn't know what I was going to get. I didn't know if I was going to get anything. And I didn't really know that much about the building at that point. I just knew it was this really cool looking building on the side of the street, side of the road, that I had no idea what the history was of it or anything. And didn't really do any research on it either before I got in there. So we go into the building and we're doing this tour, and we walk into this one room, and I suddenly feel a male spirit come up behind me, or a male energy come up behind me, and he like sniffed the back of my neck. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's a really nice introduction to the building. That's great. At which point I told him to back off, and he proceeded to tell me that he could do anything he damn well pleased. So I didn't appreciate that too much, and as even now, I don't like going into that room. I don't like the energy in that room. We moved on through the building, got up into the attic area where the orphanage was, and I'm seeing a small boy kind of crouched down back in one of the corners. I can see what he's wearing, kind of late 1800s outfit, and he's obviously very scared, the way he's kind of hiding back in the corner. So of course that's piquing my interest of, I want to come back up here and try to figure out why he feels the way he does back in that corner, and did not know at that point that was the orphanage space. I also saw another thing over on the other side of that space. There was a woman that was kind of crouched down, and there was a man and a woman standing in front of her, and she was screaming, "Please don't take my baby." And I watched the man take the child from her, hand it to the woman that was standing next to him. She walked away, and he was just like standing there while this woman is like breaking down crying. on the other side of there was a bed in there, but I don't know if that was what the actual piece of furniture was during that time period. So of course I also wanted to figure out what that was. You know, why am I seeing this? What is the story behind this? So we make our way on down through the building, and of course I'm telling the person that is the guide, I'm telling them what I'm getting. And they're kind of like, okay, this is interesting. So we get down to one of the bathrooms that's down between the first floor and the second floor, and it's one of the women's bathrooms. The door was shut, and they looked at me and they said, "Hi, Skyla." They said, "What do you get? You know, what are you picking up in this room?" And I put my hand on the door and started to push the door open, and it wasn't open maybe 3 inches. I really couldn't even see inside the room. And I stopped and I looked at them and I said, "Somebody died in this room." And they said, "Oh, really?" And I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Well, there's a rumor that somebody committed suicide in the bathtub in this bathroom." And I looked at them and I said, "Not a chance." I said, "I'm seeing 2 other people in there beating up this person, and they're deceased before they even hit the bathtub." And so the person that, you know, the guide, they were just like looking at me like, "That's insane." And I was seeing it all like I was watching a movie on a movie play out right in front of me. And I still don't like going in that bathroom. So it was a pretty eventful, like, first time in the building, and it just has blown up ever since.
I don't personally like going in any of the bathrooms.
Exactly.
Building.
Exactly.
They all have just a funk. That's the only way I can.
Exactly.
The energy in all of them is horrible.
Right.
But I did see in the comments that both Skyla and Matt are here.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey.
Kim was wondering why you look so familiar.
I don't know, because Kim, I don't think I've ever met you.
I don't think you two have ever met either.
So that's curious, Kim.
Interesting. Well, at some point, I'm sure you'll meet at FCICon.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I know, we're almost there. As crazy as that is to say,
I know, less than 2 months.
I know. We're almost there.
It's one of my favorite events of the whole year.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Last year, right after I went to bed, the bats came out. There were people running around the hallways, dodging them, messaging me, telling me to watch out, and I was asleep.
Well, next week, or I should say next weekend, after the public event, you and I should have maybe some fun with the bats at the Bell Witch Cave, since that's where we're filming an episode.
Good luck with that.
Everything went really well my one time there until we tried going back in later at night. And I was like, no, I'm not going in the back. I can't. If there's bats, I'll never get out through that narrow entrance. I'll flip out. And the guide says to me, well, there's never been bats at the back of the cave. I'm like, yeah, screw you. There's not a chance I'm going back there. So I stayed in the front. They all went in the back. And 3 minutes later, they all came back. And the guide is pale. And he says to me, that was the biggest bat I've ever seen in the cave.
It's a cave.
Exactly.
There's just going to be a portion of this video that Noah is alone. Is essentially what we're figuring out.
You can hear me crying from the front of the cave. You just hear random screams.
I'll have to set a camera up to stay with you while I go in, so that way I can switch back and forth between my perspective and your perspective. And the funniest part about it is going to be the fact that I'm going to be the one in there having a chill time, having a good time. You're going to be outside of the cave, but still crying.
I'm just going to be rocking back and forth.
This should be a good time.
Well, and then of course we're also going to be at Waverly coming up, and we know there's bats there too.
Yeah.
Dawn can tell that story of the one time I saw a bat at Waverly.
Well,
No,
you know,
I didn't say saw it. I heard it.
if the lovely person we wouldn't have been with, we were with, wouldn't have had that IR camera, we might have been okay. So just to tell you, Noah, bats love IR lights.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they will dive bomb you. So don't hold it up in front of your face.
See, I don't know. I think I'd use it as target. I'd like to have that happen. I think that'd be cool.
Okay.
I'll stop. Then maybe.
Christopher will be balled up in the fetal position over in the corner if that happens to you.
No, see, because like my idea here is the fact that like, so if I could catch one, like alive, if I could catch it, I could then perform experiments to maybe get Christopher over that fear.
No.
It's all yes, that's
no.
He's got like we've been working on like getting him over this fear to begin with. Like it's kind of like one of those extreme measures sort of situations.
I've worked with him to do that too, and he's given me PTSD from dealing with bats. So can we not add to it, please?
You could give me different degrees of horrible things, like put me in a small room and unleash a bat and play Huey Lewis.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you want me to stop playing the Huey Lewis, you've got to like, you got to get over that fear. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that.
pet the bat.
I want to see that. You have got to video that.
Oh, I always film, so we're good. We're good. I've always got the camera rolling.
It would be even funnier if the bat like went and tried to hide and was like, didn't.
Yeah,
want to
you guys could
either.
bond. Yeah, you guys could bond over the fact of hating Huey Lewis. This could be like a defining moment in your relationship with them. I'm just saying. I think I'm onto something here.
So
Now,
while
actually, what's funny about that? Like all jokes aside, as I kind of talked to you previously about my general ideas about that, I think there's some stuff that maybe we can, again, not like saying this in a creepy way, but experiment with when it comes to like energy work and stuff like that. Like I think there's some stuff I've been looking into to possibly, again, not because as you're already like aware of like hypnotism and do that, it's not necessarily hypnotism as to what I'm talking about, but essentially releasing that fear.
right. And I mean, I've even tried myself, so I'm open to anything.
Shock therapy.
Waterboarding, whatever.
Yeah. No. We have all kinds of ideas here at Crooked Path Paranormal. Leave in the comments some suggestions on experiments you'd like us to try to get over Christopher's bad fear. There should be some interesting comments very soon.
So while we're on the subject of Waverly, I mean, Dawn, you've obviously been there because we've been there together.
Yep.
And you've also been there at least once when I wasn't there. So we've had experiences there together, experiences there separate. Talk a little bit about your experiences there. I love the place, and I think just about anybody who has any interest in the paranormal has at the very least heard of Waverly. It's
Oh, for sure.
so well known. What is
Yeah.
this moment? It's like walking into a house and being mad that furniture is in there. Bats live in caves.
Right, yeah, they're synonymous. Like you can't have one without the other. It's just
I would never walk into a house and be mad that there is furniture. I might be mad that there's people.
that's the defining line there is the people. It's not the furniture.
Anyway, talk about your experiences at Waverly and what your thoughts on that place are.
So the first time I went in there, I went actually on a public hunt. So I went completely and totally by myself, didn't know anybody else in the group that was there. And it was interesting. I wasn't really sure. There's a lot of shadow play. There's a lot of noises that, and the building, although they're starting to put more windows in it now, to protect the building, because obviously if it's completely and totally open to the elements, sooner or later, it's not going to be standing anymore. So they're slowly starting to like enclose it more and things like that. But there were just sounds that didn't make sense. Those conversations that are off in the distance that you can tell that it's people talking, but you can't hear what they're saying. The sound of footsteps going down hallways and like stepping on, the debris that's on the floor, like the paint chips and things like that, where it sounds like it's crunching under footsteps. Sounds like doors closing or, people moving around on furniture, like sitting on a bed or standing up from a bed or something like that. So there were just a lot of noises that didn't really make sense. And the fourth floor, there's a lot of very interesting energy up there. The group that I was with that first time, they kind of like sent people down to the end of the hallway just to see what you get, because there are, there have been sightings of like a crawler type thing in there that starts on the ground on two legs and then goes up the wall and up onto the ceiling and runs down the hallway on the ceiling, and just all kinds of things that you're not quite sure, like, what energy am I really connecting into? Because you're talking, all of that time period with a disease that they didn't understand and they didn't have a cure for. And so the number of people that died in there is kind of in a way unfathomable. And if you're in that space, living in that space, and you're seeing death around you every day, how can you keep your spirits up? Your mental faculties about you even. So when I was in there, it was kind of a lot of trying to figure out, what am I interacting with? Am I interacting with the spirits of the folks that were there and passed? Am I dealing with some sort of, for lack of a better description, a thought form or an egregore that is there, that is an amalgamation of all of the sadness and the death and the emotion and the anxiety and all of that might be in that building? Because we all three of us have been to locations where that thought form, is what the haunting is. It's not so much maybe the energy of the person that may have lived in that space or inhabited that space, but it's definitely more of that energy imprint that's left. So I think it's a combination of those kinds of things in a space like Waverly. And then on top of all of that, you throw in, that fifth floor area where all the children are. So not only do you have, you have the adults, but you've got kids up there that don't understand why they're not with mommy and daddy, that don't understand, they're sick, that don't understand why they can't get better, that don't understand why their friend was there today, yesterday, and they're not there today, all of those kinds of things. How do you deal with all of that?
Right. Real quick, Kim does have a question for Dawn, but real quick before that, I do kind of even just want to go into a little bit more on the egregore thing, because just for maybe anybody out there that is like, hears that term and is like, what the hell are you talking about? Because you're 1,000% right in that. And it's basically the easiest way that I can explain an egregore is the theoretical belief that the energies that go into paranormal, like just what paranormal are, is that basically frequencies, energy, all of that stuff combined, that that have emotions attached to them. It's basically the theoretical thing that these emotions, when they're mixed with that amount of energy into something, tragic that happened, whatever it may be, that they literally not only come to life, but they almost become sentient themselves. And that's essentially what they are. So they weren't a spirit of a person that died, and they also weren't a spirit of something that we might refer to as an angel or demon, for lack of better term. Um, it's just literally something that in the fourth dimensional space, that sort of energy has been created and actually become sentient. How that's possible, I guess that's one of those questions that nobody really quite knows for sure. It's all technically theoretical, but many paranormal investigators have kind of come to this conclusion that these entities are formed and are created. And so it's really interesting to talk about. So that's why I wanted to dive a little bit more into that term, especially because I think a lot of people, when I talk to them that aren't super knowledgeable in the paranormal field, you'll say a term like that, like egregore, and they'll be like, the hell is that? Like, what are you talking about? It's like, oh, I guess it's not quite as common as maybe sometimes we think it is. And that's why a lot of times I'm like, oh, probably should explain that a little bit. But the question that Kim had for Dawn is, what is the location you've been to that you will never return to again? And what happened to make you swear it off?
I have to kind of think about that, because in all honesty, I don't think I've been to a location that I've had anything that negative, for lack of a better word, happen that would make me not go back there.
Right.
Even a place like Whispers Estates definitely has a reputation. Definitely has some very questionable energies in there. In all honesty, a lot of the time it makes me curious, like, what are you?
Right.
And I want to figure out what you are, why you're here, what's your end goal.
Yeah.
It's and have I been in locations that I felt very, very, very uncomfortable? Absolutely. Have I been in locations where I've been physically affected to the point that I had to leave, like walk out of the space for a minute and then come back? Absolutely. Christopher, can you think of any place that we've been that I've been like, nope, I'm done, I'm out?
I can't think of anywhere that you've been to that you won't go back. But I always remember you saying that you would never, ever go to Bobby Mackey's.
Okay.
And then
that
things
doesn't
shifted
count
in a way that you ended up at Bobby Mackey's.
That doesn't count. No.
To give this a little more context,
right.
that's what she was saying. She would never go to Bobby Mackey's. And I was going to buy the tickets for us to go to Bobby Mackey's and asked her if she wanted to go. I think she saw the bee in Bobby Mackey's, and you thought I was asking about the Bel Air house.
Right. Well, but we had been talking about the Bel Air house at the same time. And so when you threw it out there about tickets and dates, and you threw the calendar page at me, I didn't even look that close, because we had been talking about Bel Air, and I thought that was what you were talking about. And then lo and behold, oh no, this is where we're going. I'm like, what?
Right.
No.
It was meant to be. We had a great night. I was crawling in holes. I was chased by demon mice.
You were, and you did very well. You didn't run or anything.
Well, mice don't bother me. They don't fly.
No, but those were about to rip your face off. So I don't think I've ever seen mice that are like aggressive.
They were I was on a mission, though. I had to get that done.
That is true.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I 100% agree with kind of your synopsis on that, because yeah, there's times where you come across something in this field, obviously, that it startles you, or it kind of makes you feel like, oh, that makes me feel uneasy, whatever it is. But yeah, I've never gone into a location and had something happen to where I was just instantly like, I'll never do that again, or I'll never go back there. It more of kind of, it actually feels to me more, a little bit more like a challenge. And that's where I'm kind of in this mood of like, well, I'm not going to let you win this battle by making me too fearful. And that's where I think a lot of times, because I think Kim, I can't exactly remember where we were with her when she asked this question. I kind of gave her the same answer, and it's to kind of give it the shortest answer that I possibly can. It's mostly because I feel like that's how these entities win, essentially, how they get more power, how they're able to do this is because if you dive into the fear and you let it overcome you, that's what gives them power. Like, yeah, can they do things? Of course they can. Like, how many people have been scratched before? And it's like, don't get me wrong, yeah, that's bad and that's not good. But at the same time, you getting scared in the way that you are just gives them more power to do more. So it's kind of like, I feel like what's more beneficial is if it's more like, if you get scratched in a location, don't get me wrong, I get it. That's a scary thing. And I'm not trying to like undermine or make anybody feel like, oh, like, should I not get scared? It's like, I get it. That's a scary thing. I had a moment that you can see in the current series that just finished today, Ross House, where I get grabbed in the arm and it startled me in the moment. But you got to go back in there and be like, all right, bitch, like, what's up? Like, this what we doing? Like, what, like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like fight back. Like, don't let it win by just, tucking your tail and running. Like, go back in and be like, all right, what's up? And I feel like in my experiences, at least, more often than not, when you come back with that sort of energy, it almost takes energy away from them. They're almost kind of like, wait, what the fuck? Like, who is this guy? Like, why, like, and so I really resonate with that statement. So I get that.
Well, and I'm not going to say that I haven't been in places where that fight or flight feeling has kicked in. I've been in a couple of places where it's been so intense that it was everything I could do to make myself stay in that space and not react and not say anything. But it was like you were saying, they feed on that. Right. They absolutely feed on that. And do I acknowledge that I'm feeling that way? Yes, indeed. I'm absolutely going to acknowledge that.
Right.
But it's also kind of the thing that sometimes when that happens, I have to take a step back and try to figure out whether I'm the one that's actually feeling that, or if there is another spirit in the space that I'm picking up on their energy. Because I've been in locations like, for example, I think Skyla just mentioned Stark Saloon. I was in that location and was getting a lot of anxiety, fear, again, that need to get the hell out of here kind of feeling.
Right.
And I know it wasn't me, because in the moment, I wasn't scared or anything. So I know I was picking up on a female in the location.
Right.
So sometimes I have to take a step back and figure out, is it me or not? But there have been times that it most definitely has been me, but I don't necessarily come back at it like you were just doing with like the, I don't know, machismo kind of thing, like, oh, hell no, you're not going to do that to me kind of thing. Right. I don't necessarily do that, because sometimes that pushes buttons and then they're like, oh, really? But I stand my ground.
Right. I don't know. And it's kind of like one of those things that, kind of like anything, I think different approaches work for different people. But it's just one of those things, like, I don't know. I think I've done it enough at this point that most, I'm not going to say all times, but like, for instance, because like whenever you say it pushes buttons, I've had, and Christopher, you can really kind of like talk about this too, because you've been there now how many times when this has happened. They'll start mentioning things about your house. You know what I mean? Like kind of threatening that they're going to go to your house. And typically, again, yeah, that's one of those things that like would scare the shit out of people. But again, it's sort of like, okay, cool, you're not doing anything. Like, my house is protected. Like, that's kind of where I'm going with this, is the fact that it's like it's all scare tactics. Like, they're going to just keep on going at you, doing little things, doing this, doing that, and
Oh yeah.
at the end of the day, there's not really much other than like the little things that they can do that they're going to do. And it's because I think sometimes too, like, not to make this like saying that like, oh, you know, 1 plus 1 doesn't equal 2, but sometimes whenever something does then happen afterwards that was, say, a negative thing, I think people always jump to like, oh, well, the negative spirit caused that to happen. It's like, not necessarily. Like, it's just sometimes you have bad luck and shit happens. Sometimes things do happen and they're connected. Sometimes they don't. So that's where you kind of have to, like, I think, kind of dissect it a little bit more to like figure out what's actually being caused and what's not. But that's also where like I kind of just mentioned, my house is protected. I've done all kind of energy work, drawn symbols around my house. Obviously, I have my spirit guide here. Like, it's kind of like one of those things. If you protect your space or whatever enough, it's kind of like there's not really much they can do. It's pretty well protected.
Absolutely. Kim's got another great question here. She's asking, have you been to a location that had a super profound effect on you, but when you originally went, you didn't think it would?
I can think of 2 locations. And I will say that usually when I go to a location, I don't go in with any preconceived ideas, any expectations, anything. Even if it's someplace, for example, as well known as like Hensdale House. I try to disconnect myself from all of that. I won't watch any episodes by any other investigators of that location before I go. I typically don't even do any kind of research or anything before I go there, because I want to go in relatively open to be able to figure out who's there, what's there, is it even what all of these other folks are saying is there, that kind of thing. And Christopher, you were with me on both of these occasions. One was at Hensdale, the first time that I went there, and I connected with some spirits out on the land. That was an extremely profound spiritual experience that there's no words to explain it, in all honesty. And I absolutely,
there are no words. I saw it.
Yeah.
I saw it happen, and there are no words.
And I would go back there in a heartbeat. Oddly enough, I've astral traveled there, and wasn't even trying to. I just landed there one day, which I was like, okay, so you obviously need to tell me something, otherwise you wouldn't have pulled me here. So that was kind of neat. The other place was Madison Seminary. I'd been there before, and in comparison to Fairfield, and I've got a really strong connection with Fairfield. When I go to Madison, a lot of the time I don't get the same connection with the spirits there. And so we were there. We were over on the Civil War side of the building, and we were in a room that, when we walked in, I could see a lady sitting on the bed, and I think I said something to you about why is she sitting on the bed or something to that effect. And because it was obvious that, so that the Civil War side of Madison Seminary was for women who were widows of Civil War soldiers. So the probability that her husband had already passed away, or her father or her brother or something like that, was really, really high. So it was like, okay, so she lost her husband in the battle. She was pregnant and had a child, and lost the child shortly after she found out that her husband had died. Like, she had the baby, and then the baby passed. And so I looked at Christopher and I said, okay, her husband's gone. Her child's gone. any connection that she had to her husband is gone. Why is she still here? Why would she not have crossed with them? And you looked me straight in the face and whispered, and to this day, I think it's hilarious when we whisper because they can hear us anyway. So I was like, okay, why are we whispering? But you looked at me and you said, she doesn't know she's dead. She's waiting to die. And I know, and from the first day that I met you and started investigating with you, you've always said that you will not ask a spirit how they passed because they may not know that they're deceased.
Right.
And that's always stuck with me. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, she's waiting to go. We don't typically tell them you can go because you're not physically here anymore. And my spirit guides started showing me how I could let her know that she was already gone. Like she wasn't a physical being anymore. And I remember looking at you and saying, do you think I'm okay to do this? Because I'd never done it before. And so I went over and I knelt down beside the bed and I held my hand out and I told her, take my hand. And I literally felt her hand go down through my hand. And it was the craziest like feeling ever. It was all like staticky and it was weird. And she looked at me and her eyes got kind of big and she did it again. And I felt her hand go through my hand a second time. And she just starts smiling. And she had this look on her face like, is it really true? And I nodded at her and she just got this big smile and she reached out and she grabbed both of my arms. And I could feel her grabbing my arms. Like she took my arms like this and she just smiled at me. She got up off the bed, walked over to the dresser. There was a hat on the dresser. She picked the hat up, put the hat on her head, picked a suitcase up that was sitting next to the dresser, walked to the door, turned around, looked back into the room one last time, walked out the door and was gone. And by this point, of course, Christopher's crying because Christopher cries. I love it when Christopher cries. So he's sitting over there crying. And I looked at him, and of course, by this point, I've got that giddy laugh thing going on because I'm just like, did that just work? Like, that just worked. And it was the coolest experience I think I've ever had. And to this day, I mean, it still kind of amazes me that I had a part in that. It was crazy.
Yeah, I'll never forget that either.
So I hope that answers your question, Kim.
Makes me think of the night at Davy's house that I carried Deborah outside and you drew the picture afterward.
Yeah, watching that happen was totally crazy too.
Speaking of you drawing that picture, why don't you talk a little bit about your art?
So I use my art in a lot of different ways. I've done more like automatic writing, automatic drawing kind of thing. I have allowed, it was an amazing experience. It absolutely was. I've done some drawings of, say, like that experience at Davy's house, things like that. But typically what I do, I like to get images of the buildings and the locations that we go to and create watercolor paintings of them. So just kind of
some of the locations you've done.
I've done Wildwood Sanitarium. I've done Hinsdale. I've done Madison, FCI, Whispers, Monroe House, several paintings of Waverly. It has a special place in my heart. I can't help it. Let's see, where else? Oh, lots of stuff at Billy Creek and Billy Creek Village and Indiana State Sanatorium. think that's about it. There's a lot of places.
You've done Paulding too, right?
Yes, I did Paulding.
Hmm.
I haven't done Ross House yet. It's on the list. I've got Old Licking County Jail in process right now. It's not done, but it's in process. I'm also working on one of the Octagon House from Chillicothe. But if I go to a location that the location is in sort of a state of disrepair, or for that matter, if I even go like to a location that's completely and totally abandoned, for example, which I have not done this, but this would be an example, maybe like someplace like Molly Stark, that's really, really in bad shape. I don't typically do the painting of that location in its current condition. I like to start doing research on the locations and try to find historic images of the building kind of at its heyday, if at all possible, and work from those. So, for example, like the Octagon House has been moved from its original location. So I found some historic photographs and lithographs of that building. And so I'm working from those of it in its original location. I'm trying to think, there was another one that I did. So I've done several paintings of historic structures for a book that's being published right now. And one of the structures was the old Muskingum County Infirmary, and it no longer exists. There were two different versions of it. One of them, the first one was up on a hill. It burned down. And so they built a second one in the late 1800s and tore it down in 2006, I think. So there's nothing to look at. So there was a lot of research that went into that. And interestingly enough, I found a postcard that had the image from 1898 of the building. And so I went off of the postcard, and it was a black and white postcard. So I went off of the postcard and did some research about like what bricks it was made out of and that kind of thing to get the colorings and such for it. But one of the other buildings that I did also doesn't exist anymore. And I worked from old newspaper advertisements. And those are grainy as hell and hard to work from and all of that. So there's a decent amount of research that goes into a lot of these paintings before I finish them.
You've recently you've been featured in some places recently, like just Friday night, or not Friday night because you were at FCI Friday night, but recently you were just somewhere.
Yeah, I'm currently the featured artist at a place called Weasel Boy Brewing Company in Zanesville, Ohio. I'm their artist, kind of like their artist of the month for March and April. So I have some work in there. And I have had quite a decent amount of my stuff in a restaurant in Columbus as well. A year and a half ago, I think it was, that I had my stuff in there. So yeah, I show when I can, but I also take commissions and things as well. So like I've had people reach out to me to do memorial artwork of like their pets that have passed, or like to do a painting of like their grandparents' old farmhouse that doesn't exist anymore, and here are the photographs that we've got left of it and things like that. The most recent and probably the most interesting one. So the Great Lakes are notorious for shipwrecks. And there have been a lot of men that have lost their lives on ships that have gone down in the Great Lakes. There is currently a ship, it's the Marquette and Bessemer II, that was a rail car transport boat that went from, I believe, Conneaut across Lake Erie to deliver train cars full of coal. And it went down in 1909 in a storm, and all 32 hands went down with the ship. They only ever located 9 of the bodies. They don't know where the ship is. My husband has been doing research on this ship for several years, trying to see if they can figure out where it went down at. And he reached out to me and he's like, do you think you could do a painting of this ship? I don't know. Probably. I've never done a ship before, but why not? So again, lots of research. There's a group on Facebook that are descendants of the men who were on the ship. And I was able to get some postcards and some other photographs of the ship when it was in port to kind of get an idea of what the ship looked like, what the rigging was, and all of that, because it's a slightly different style of boat than, for example, the freighters that are on the Great Lakes. So with a little bit of help from ChatGPT, simply because trying to create a storm and trying to figure out how the boat would be moving through storm waters, because this happened in December. The boat was coated in ice when it went down. It didn't have a gate on the back of the boat to keep the water from getting inside of the boat. So by the time the thing went down in this storm, it was completely and totally encased in ice. Well, obviously, you're not going to have a photograph of that. So there was a little bit of work with ChatGPT to try to figure out how to make it look like it was cresting a wave, what the water would look like. And Lake Erie is a very crazy lake. It doesn't work the way a lot of other bodies of water do. It's very shallow. And I'm sure that, if you pay attention to any of the news, or if you're up around, say, for example, the Cleveland area, Madison area, that area, when the storms roll through, if they roll through the right way and the wind is the right way, it will shove all of the water from our end of Lake Erie to Buffalo. And our end of Lake Erie, the water level can drop 15 to 20 feet to the point that you can walk out on the bottom of Lake Erie that would typically be under feet of water, and it's completely and totally dry because all the water is up in Buffalo, New York. And it literally shoves all the water from the west end to the east end of the lake. I've been on that lake, and not even in crazy weather. And the waves, where typically you get waves that you can kind of time and you can figure out what the flow of the water is, the waves will come from 2 different directions at the same time. And so trying to figure out how to create stormy seas in that kind of condition, and pulling up other images that other photographers have caught of storms on Lake Erie, and trying to kind of, we call it Frankensteining a picture, when you've got a bunch of different images that you're pulling together into one artwork. And so I was doing that. I was pulling stormy skies, stormy seas, ships, all of these different things, and trying to put it together into one image. And it's, in my opinion, it's pretty freaking powerful. When I posted it in the page on Facebook that the family members are in, many of them made statements about how powerful it was, and that it was haunting, and that they could really feel the fear of the men in the ship in that situation, and all of those kinds of things, which made me feel real good, because then it's like, okay, I accomplished my goal when I made this painting. So, and I've often wondered, even up at Madison, because we are so close to the lake, if there's any kind of connection between all of these wrecks and the men that have lost their lives on that lake and the Madison area.
Right.
So, which child is that?
Not one of mine.
Oh, it's not one of mine either.
I only have my orange guy in here, and he's sleeping.
I don't have cats. I have dogs, so it definitely wasn't one of them.
That's interesting because I don't have cats. At least
I think
not
that
in
was.
here.
I think that was the sound effect that Anthony put in. I think that was the sound effect.
Well, we have a ghost.
Ghost cat.
I mean, I'm certain there's a ghost cat running around at FCI.
Yep.
There may actually even be a ghost chinchilla running around at FCI.
It got set loose from Ross.
We said that at one point.
I took a picture in the attic where there's a chinchilla shadow on the wall. Like
Nothing.
way too large, which makes it even funnier.
Nothing would surprise me. Nothing.
Can you imagine going up there and you run into like Chinchilla and it's
Chinzilla.
That would be really frightening. I'm not going to lie. I would probably turn around and walk out of there and not go back. Kim, there's your answer.
Yeah, just
Chinchilla winds up in FCI and I'm not going back.
Yeah,
I think Chinchilla needs to be a t-shirt.
Oh. You know what? I happen to know a guy who see what I did there? Know a guy. I'm legitimately about to like make this t-shirt when I get off of here. Like, Chinzilla. And you're gonna see it on Crooked Apparel really soon.
I think it's brilliant.
And what's funny about that though, all jokes aside, is the fact that actually that would really work well with also promoting the Ross House series, because that's, you know what I mean? So
right.
I could tie that into that whole. That's what I'm about to do. That's what I'm about to do. This is about to be a badass t-shirt. I'll even make it to where like Chinzilla is actually like using the vapor breath that Godzilla uses. But again, because of tie-ins, it'll be red, so it matches the Battle of Souls series.
Then you're going to have to put Christopher in there looking all scared and like drawing back like this.
That would only be when it grows wings.
Do I make it to where Chinzilla is battling like Bathra?
Oh, there you go. Perfect. Love it. Perfect.
Kim says, I'd buy it.
I think I could get on board with that one.
Yeah. I'm not even joking. I'm 1,000% about to make this. So like within a week, you'll probably see it on Crooked Apparel. It's about to be epic.
I love it.
I might have to commission Dawn for a painting of this too.
Actually, speaking of the paintings, I have one in my house. Stark.
Have one what?
One of your paintings.
Oh.
The Stark Saloon one that you made the Ouija board.
Oh yeah. I didn't make the Ouija board, but yeah.
Yeah, but you did the painting for the Ouija board. Yeah, I have that in my house because for those who don't know, Jane, who was originally from Stark, is my spirit guide, and through a little bit of the past life work, that's where we basically discovered that Jane, not only being my spirit guide, was my mother in that past life when she was there. And so I remember when Christopher first showed it to me, and I was like, listen, like this connection that I have with Jane, her being my mother in a past life and stuff, I will give you just about anything to have that. Because like I really want that to be in my house, so it kind of helps her feel at home here with me. And so when he gave that to me, it was really, really special. And just like it is an amazing painting. So I can say firsthand, like your paintings are amazing. They're fantastic.
That painting, I will admit, was probably one of the hardest ones that I've done. And I don't mean hard by like technical. I mean, technically, yeah, it was challenging. But The whole time I was working on that, especially when I was working on the area up around that window, that second story window, I was connecting into the women that were in that space,
Right.
and it was bad.
Yeah.
Crying, like trying
Right.
not to throw up. I mean, it was, and all I'm doing is working on a painting. Like, what? How does this even happen? It was like I was the whole time I was messaging Christopher, and I'm like, this isn't good. Like, and
Right.
that was part of a larger commission, of a 5 painting commission that I was asked to do.
Right.
And when I started working on it, I was literally told, do that last. Okay, I don't argue when they tell me stuff. So, and I didn't know what I was going to get into, and wound up connecting into somebody that we actually connected to at the location later on.
Right.
So
Right.
that, and I haven't had that with any of the other paintings. So that was just, it was rough. It was really, really rough.
Yeah, that makes sense. But go
Matt
ahead,
had a
because
Matt had a suggestion here for a
Yeah.
T-shirt that's a Chinchilla yelling to the morgue.
You know what? Honestly, like I feel like I'm about to just make the Chinzilla series, like to incorporate all of these great ideas we've had about Chinzilla. Like I'm almost because okay, I don't want to give this out because like it would kind of be a spoiler for something I don't know if you've even started working on, but I know you will at some point. We had an idea about Christopher writing a short story about something that would eventually be a little, short story book that would be published. Maybe you should make a short story about Chinzilla to go with the series.
Like 2 different versions. There's the adult version, the action version, and then there's like a kid's bedtime story version about Chinchilla.
Right. Yeah. There's the kids version where he's great, and then there's the adult version where it's like you could literally do anything with this short story. You could have Crooked Path going against Chinzilla. So then like Crooked Path's in this big metallic, Pacific Rim style robot fighting Chinzilla. And then the catchphrase at the end when the big robot punches Chinzilla, it's like, you're going to the morgue.
Put Chinzilla on top of the Empire State Building and have Crooked Path flying in on it.
Oh yeah. Make it a little bit more modern though, like be it like F-22 or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? Lasers.
It's just a big green laser just right at it.
Christopher's fighting it with Reiki power,
He's getting in his head. He's like Professor X, where he's like in his head, like controlling.
That'd be great.
I can get behind that. And I do love Kim's comment here too about these hoodies being so comfortable. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Christopher knows this again better as anybody, because part of the reason it took us so long to get it together was because I'm extremely picky, like when it comes to things. And I tried out, like, I don't even know how many different products until I got to the one that I was like, okay, this is comfortable. I like it. It looks good. So I'm glad you really liked it because it was a long process of me like trying on different hoodies, different t-shirts, all that to try and find what I liked the most. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
That was fun yesterday to see you and your hoodies out in the wild when we went to lunch.
I know. I saw that on Facebook, and I immediately went and liked that. I was like, "That's awesome. Love that."
Crooked Path in the wild.
Crooked Path. It's always wild.
It's always wild. That's saying.
Like even though I'm not in the wild, it's wild here. I just am the wild.
No, but going back to your artwork, I've been slowly accumulating your work for years now. There's the painting I commissioned you to do. You did one for me of Loki when he passed. I've got print number 1 of FCI when you released that. I've got the Civil War house.
Yep.
And I've got the snake base.
Which I figured was, the perfect place, the perfect place for that to go.
Oh, absolutely. I've got that on display all the time.
Yeah, we'll just have to keep funneling all the artwork over to you.
I'm all right with that.
Figure out a way when I do the Ross house to get Chinsilla in the Ross house painting.
Dude, oh.
Like I did with Brent's version of Hensdale, where I put the little UFO up in the sky.
I almost wish I could go back and change the thumbnail to incorporate Chinzilla in the background of the house. Although I will say, whenever we eventually return to the Ross house and do like a return series, it's 1,000% going in that thumbnail.
You could do a painting of like the other house spirits and Chinchilla. You could have Peggy kicking Chinchilla. Yeah. Gretchen's in the background yelling, "Kick it!"
The 5 prostitutes in the background. They're asking for coin, as like they did us when we were there.
Oh,
that's a real story for anybody that's like it's a real thing that happened. We were at the Ross house when we were filming, and we're in a room, and there's 5 prostitutes supposedly in that room, and they asked us for coin. They would not answer our questions until we paid them. So my dad had change in his truck. So I went out to the truck and got some of that and brought it in. And the moment I brought the money in, they started answering. I was like, what in the hell is actually going on right now? Like, I have never had to pay a spirit to talk to me. But that's what happened.
You got to pay for their time, Their time is valuable.
Yeah.
What was the wording on that other statement about the coin?
So the first thing that said was coin, right? So we start laughing because that was funny, and we kind of continue on with what we were talking about because we were kind of talking about something pretty important. And again, we're asking, like, I wish we could get answers on this, and it says word for word. Coin invokes memories best left forgotten. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? The spirit is asking me or basically telling me, unless you pay me, I am not going to tell you the information that I have. I was like, what the hell is actually happening right now? It is to this day one of the funniest things that I've ever had happen while investigating.
Oh. Yeah, it's hard to top that. I've had a lot of really funny moments while out there, but that's up there.
Like, what the fuck? Like, what just happened? Oh my god! I'm almost kind of like again when we return, I'll just know pre going in, we gotta bring some money for the girls, I guess.
Someday I'll do a book of just like short excerpts of little funny or surprising things. That'll be in there. And Audrey from Paulding coming through at the Gill House. That'll be in there.
Matt, that would be so much better than banana.
Oh my god.
I'm just going to put that out there. Can you say banana? No, but I can say Chinzilla.
Chinzilla stopping at Buc-ee's.
I don't know. I feel like we just created something. I feel like this is about to be a big marketing point for just like there's 1,000% going to be a T-shirt. That's actually probably going to be the T-shirt of the month. Is probably what's about to happen.
I like the idea of Chinzilla at Buc-ee's. I love that. Can
you imagine? So she also, I can't see it right now, but she put also a comment about painting or something like that of Chinzilla. It was on a Ouija board. Chinzilla on a Ouija board lighting a phantom flame candle, and that's where I was thinking, like, can you imagine it's his breath, like it's his breath that's lighting the candle. I was like, oh, that'd be sick. Not gonna, I'd use that Ouija board. I'm just saying.
Why do I get the feeling when we introduce this concept in the boys' room at FCI, they're gonna run with this? They're gonna love this.
Dude.
Oh,
they're gonna
absolutely.
be like, "Where's the toy? Like, where's the stuffed animal for Chinzilla?"
Exactly, especially after what we got from Gil the other night.
And it was right. It was bad enough the day I mentioned Frankenstein up there, and they ran with that.
It's gonna be great. This is gonna be awesome. Watch this. I'm gonna make the stuff for Chinzilla. I'm gonna get the official artwork for Chinzilla. I'm gonna go to Build-A-Bear and ask them, can we make this?
We could get it that like it lights up and talks like the Boo Bear type thing.
Yeah, so that when you squeeze it, it roars and stuff.
Yes, I wanted to have...
Turn it into a REM pod.
Oh, creepy crates.
Like the eyes that light up if like
Creepy
something touches
crates.
it.
Oh, dude, we just created something. Like this is going to the stratosphere. Like this is gonna be awesome. I feel like this episode has just turned into talking about Chinzilla, but yeah, so Kim just called it, like basically said that, like, yeah, like I feel like we're just like now just talking about Chinzilla. But
oh no, Matt sent you a photo. Oh Lord.
I don't know how well people will be able to see this.
Oh my God, that's priceless. Oh God. I love that.
That's funny. I like that. Dude, this is about the Chinzilla takeover. You know what's funny is especially because like, as I kind of mentioned before, not on here, but like previously with Crooked Apparel, it's like the stuff that we have currently isn't the only things we're going to have out there. Like we have so many different designs and different lines and stuff like that we're kind of waiting to kind of get out there. Because we had one that we was getting ready to kind of feature. And I feel like now that one's going to get pushed back because we have to get Chinzilla out there. I feel like Chinzilla comes first. Well, I know what I'm doing for the next like several hours tonight.
I'll wake up in the morning and there'll be 75 different.
I'll have the whole merch line together like, at that point, like stickers, all kinds of stuff. Like,
oh well, this is certainly
mascot. That's frightening.
This is gonna be epic.
We do need a mascot. That's not a bad idea. Someday we could have like the whole suit made, and somebody could dress up in the Chinzilla suit at our events, just like the Buc-ee's as a mascot.
Oh, I got a job for my dad. I'll put my dad in the Chinzilla suit.
Kim's throwing her credit card at the screen.
Take my money. Oh, then we got to do an event at Ross where everybody wears their Chinzilla shirt.
Oh, absolutely. and then somebody's
like,
in the whole mascot suit.
And then it's like if you show up and you don't have your Chinzilla suit or shirt, it's like get out. Like just get out of here.
Yeah, and then all the chinchilla spirits in there are gonna like rise up, like fight back.
We could even do like crossover hybrids, like Chinchilla meets Chupachilla or something.
Chupachilla. Chupazilla. Chupazilla. I like Bathra. Like I thought that was creative.
That was beautiful. I like that.
What are we doing?
Like, an interesting
what are we actually doing right now? Like
you're about to go make a T-shirt. That's what you're about to do.
I'm literally about to go make this T-shirt, and it's going to be epic.
I think that just about takes us to the end for tonight. So the three of us will all be out at the old Paulding jail next weekend, Saturday.
Indeed.
Hello, Mandy.
Hi,
Hello,
Mandy.
Brent would dress up as.
Oh, there you go.
Gary Granny versus the chinchilla.
That's right where I was going with that. Yep.
Oh my God, yes.
That would be an epic shirt. I would buy that. I will throw my credit card at the screen right now. I'm not lying. Chinzilla versus Scary Granny.
I need that picture. I'm gonna have to go and find that picture of him as Scary Granny.
Chinzilla and Bigfoot.
Chinzilla and Bigfoot. I feel like Chinzilla and Bigfoot would be friends though. He's kind of like King Kong, you know what I mean? Like they're not really friends, but they work together. They fight together, you know?
Right.
To defeat Bathra.
Christopher's gonna have a whole new book series for little kids, The Adventures of Chinzilla.
You know what I can't wait for? I can't wait to do the book reading for them. Where we go to a library and we read this book.
Recording the audio book with voices would be great.
I was getting ready to say that too. Like the audio book is about to go insane. Like oh my God. Like, I don't know.
Well, this has been a lot of fun.
It has been a lot of fun. I guess to kind of get it to the end. Just a couple announcements. For anybody that is not aware, as we kind of mentioned last time we was on here, the Ross House series, it actually did come to an official end today. R.I.P. No, I'm just kidding. But no, the end of the series released today. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. But don't be sad, even though it is a little bit bittersweet that the series is ending. Don't be too sad, because I will be the first to announce it, and we'll announce it a little bit more later, obviously. But next Sunday, I'm actually going to release the first episode for the next series, ISS, A Creature in the Tunnels. I'm going to officially release that series next Sunday. Starting
it's not a chinchilla in the tunnels.
There's not a chinchilla. There's not a chinchilla.
One of Christopher's demon crickets?
There was a demon cricket.
Oh, there were really demon crickets in the tunnels.
So, Chinzilla versus demon cricket.
Oh, that's perfect. In the tunnel.
In the tunnel. It's a small tunnel, but we'll make it work. But yeah, go check out those things. Again, as Christopher just said, we do have our first public event of this year going at Paulding next week, Saturday. So if there's anybody out there that is watching this, wants to join us, tickets are still available. So go onto our Facebook page and get you a ticket. It's going to be a great time. But other than that, thank you again, Dawn, for coming on. It's been an awesome episode. A lot of cool stuff there. And can't wait to see you guys next time.
Yeah, we'll see you guys Saturday.
Yeah.
Indeed.
See everyone else next time.
Yep, absolutely.
Good night.
Night, guys.
Bye.